To the channel. I'm Ninja Turtle, and today we have a very special, maybe we call it a double feature, if you will. Today I'm going to go over my creation of these custom action figures, one of which is depicting character Michiko Malandro from the anime show Michiko and Hatchin, and secondly I made a custom of a cosplayer, which, if you've been here for a while, maybe you're familiar with, Sara Moni Cosplay, cosplaying as Michiko Malandro. So I have some fictional anime character that I made a custom of, and a real-life human being that is a cosplayer cosplaying as this fictional character, and I made a figure of her. Now, this is not the first time I've done this. Like I said, if you've been here for a while, I've made a custom figure of Sara Moni before, and this is a new one. It's actually been a few years since I made that last one, and we can see quite a bit of a progression in how much better I've gotten. My skills have grown since that last figure that I made, and we'll talk about that later. As a matter of fact, if you stick around for the entire video, at the end of this video you will have some bonus Sara Moni content, and it's more than one thing. Surprise, surprise. But that is going to be later on. So right now I want to talk about these builds for each of these figures, but before I actually talk about the actual action figure, I want to talk about the bike. Alright, I said I want to talk about the bikes. I meant the bikes, although they are the same bike, just painted not perfectly exactly the same, but did my best. So for a base, these are originally the bike that came with Squirrel Girl. So I knew, and I've been wanting to make these Michiko customs and the Sara Moni variant for several years, that I wanted to do this, and I bought extra Squirrel Girl figures when they were on clearance. I think actually I bought them on eBay from Hasbro Toy Shop, because they had them like really cheap for like 20 bucks. So I bought those several years ago, and they've been sitting in my basement rotting away, waiting for me to have the skill and confidence to make Michiko Malandro. But these are the Squirrel Girl bikes. They did in fact have a basket in front, and the squirrels and all of that stuff too, because it was originally a bike for Deadpool. So, which was funny, because I forgot about that entirely. When I ripped the basket off, it has the Deadpool logo right there. It's still literally the Deadpool bike, and it still has the Deadpool logo in there. So that's one reason why the front looks the way it do, because I had to add epoxy sculpt on top of that to cover up the Deadpool logo. Now originally I was hoping to make this look more accurate to the actual bike that Michiko has, and have like the front part come out and like go out from the front of the, like in front of the tire, and stick out. I didn't game plan that enough, so when I was sculpting this piece, I was hoping to have it continue on and stick out, and I tried, but the problem is the sculpt, it was too malleable and too soft, and every time I pulled it out, it would just fall limp and go right on top of the tire. I needed something a little bit more, like if I actually sculpted some plastic or cut out some resin or something like that, then glued it on here to go over the front of that, and maybe shaped it correctly, and then took sculpt to cover the rest of that. This is all hindsight stuff that I'm literally thinking of right now, but at the time I couldn't do that, so I just left it the way it was, with just covering up the Deadpool logo and then sanding it down so it's as smooth as possible. Other than that, nothing else was physically changed. Oh, actually, I take that back. So yes, the exhaust was here, which also reminds me I hadn't put any top coat on this part here. But yeah, the exhaust pipes were right here, and they came out and stuck all the way out. So I took the cutting tool on the Dremel and just cut those off, and then it was a little ugly, so I smoothed it out and then took some epoxy sculpt and added sculpt right here just to have it nice and smooth and flat. And you can see I painted the epoxy sculpt black so that it matches the rest. And yeah, before I get these on my shelf, I need to put a little top coat on this to matte this out, because I completely forgot to do that. Other than that, so the color of the Squirrel Girl bike is actually right here. You can see the different colorations. This area I left completely untouched and unpainted for multiple reasons. One, because it would have been really hard to just, well, it was not hard to paint it, but I wanted to have some way of showing the original color, because the original color is actually quite close to what Michiko's bike is. But I tried to color match it the best I can. It's pretty close, but it's not exact. But it's actually fine. It actually works out to have that different tone. I think it looks kind of cool that it has a different tone there. But another reason is because of the peg holes that you can have on a figure. So in this case, the heels have peg holes, and I didn't paint the inside of that at all. So if I painted this, that meant, you know, there would be paint rub coming off every time you put the heel or, you know, whatever into the peg hole. So leaving this unpainted and then leaving this unpainted, you know, that means you can freely use it as you desire. So that is that. Painted this symbol on there by hand. It looks better on this bike than this one, but it is what it is. There is some details that I left off of the bike. I mean, I tried my best. Like there were like a bunch of stickers and stuff on the original bike, for Michiko's bike, I should say, and I decided to not paint those on. I used a gloss finish on most of the bike. It's a satin finish on the seat. This was a white seat, so I painted it brown. Satin finish here. The gloss finish, honestly, I don't like the way it looks. I guess the gloss, I'm not sure if it's just I painted it on too heavy, or my gloss finish is getting old and it's a little thick, or it just doesn't look too good. I think I could have gone with the satin finish, because you can see how smooth and nice this looks, but then this is kind of chunky looking. So not exactly happy with that. I elected to keep the wheels the same color, white. I did try to take it apart, actually. I did try to take both of these apart and use a screwdriver, and I removed these, but it wasn't really coming apart. And the last thing I wanted to do is like break it open and then not be able to put it together. So I just decided to leave it as is and just paint around that. So there are areas that aren't painted, obviously, like the inside. You can see there I did not paint any of that, and that's why I tried to color match as much as possible. Some of the inside of there, some of the inside of here I did not paint. Back here I didn't paint any inside of that. Like I said, the wheels are not painted, the tires are not painted, all of that is normal. All of this black is unpainted, or it is painted, but by Hasbro, not by me. The handlebars and all of that, all of these are painted because it was the same turquoise-ish color. So now we have more detail there. We have you know, the silver trim. I painted that as well. That's actually steel, I should say, a steel color. The mirror, all these, this bar for that is painted. It was black, and then I used silver for the actual mirrors. So they do have a gloss on all of that, so that's obviously not going to be that glossy to reflect an actual image, but did my best. The speedometer here is untouched. It is a sticker that keeps on coming off. Hopefully it will be fine when I send this out to Sarah, but it keeps on popping up. And then the windshield is untouched as well, and that is removable. But yeah, that is still the bike. There were some desires of me to put more touches to it to make it look more like how it does in the anime, like with the headlights. I almost did that, and to add more, like I said, I wanted that piece in the front so that way I can add all of that rest of the detail of like the bumper and stuff. I was thinking about that. I think there's some more detail on the back side of the bike that I was thinking about doing, but no, I just had to pass on that. And oh yeah, I did not paint the tail light at all, so that's the same color that it used to be. Alright, so let's start talking about Michiko herself. Now, I'm not going to sit here and do a character history or try to sell you on watching the anime, though I will say that it is made by the same, here I am selling you, same creator as Cowboy Bebop, so it does have a similar feel in the same, in a sense. It's also very different than Cowboy Bebop, but musically it's still there. And yeah, we're not going to talk about in-depth Michiko here, but I do recommend the anime. I really enjoy it a whole lot, and it's because of Sara is the reason why I even watched it. So I'm really glad that she did her cosplay, and now here I am, a fan of Michiko. So I tried to do my best to make this as close to accurate as to Michiko as possible. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. The boots are boots. They're using the boots from Retro Storm, not the Punk Storm, I should say. The one with the jeans, the black jeans and stuff like that. These are again resin copies. I always do that because ain't nobody about to buy these boots a billion times over. But I use them quite frequently, and I will be using them again and again and again. But as far as the rest of her goes, this is kind of funny. So I've been doing customs for about 3 years, since 2020. It's basically 3.5 years now, and I've made dozens of female characters and a handful of guys, but dozens of female characters. This is the first time I've ever made a custom where I left, or actually I should just say, or I took the body as is and worked with it, and didn't swap out the legs in particular, is what I'm trying to get at. So what do I mean? Most of the time when I make a figure, the legs can come on and off, just like say the Blink figure or the Emma Frost. You know, most of the modern figures now, you can actually just pull the legs off with a little bit of elbow grease. It's not even gonna break. It's supposed to pop on like a Build-A-Figure does, but the older figures don't do that. They're not hard installed in there, but it's still very difficult to just take the legs off. So I'm using a dagger figure for multiple reasons, and here's a sitting here holding an older figure for an example, and not putting it in the video. But yeah, so yeah, these legs right here don't come off. Not, I mean, you can heat this up and take the thigh off, but like the hips are installed into the torso, and that's what I did here with Michiko. Michiko is a dagger figure, and all of this area on the dagger, because dagger is all white, all of that is already white. So that's the reason why I use dagger specifically, because Michiko has white shorts, so I didn't have to worry about paint rub, because I didn't paint anything on the inside of the hips or the butt area or any of that stuff. On the inside I didn't paint anything. On the outside I did paint, but the inside it is not painted. But this is, yeah, the first time. I always have, every single female figure I've made, I've swapped the legs out for something else. And I've only I haven't done it specifically because this is the first time I've made a character with this body that I want. Most characters that I've been making have been shorter than this, or they've been more voluptuous than this. You know, not as skinny as Michiko is, or they are skinny but they're shorter, or they're taller or something like that. So and this is literally, for me, I scale this at like 5'8" or 5'9", and Michiko is about that tall and about the skinny and has a body about like this. So yeah, this is the first time in 3.5 years that I've actually not done that extra work and swapped out legs. So I thought that was funny. So that being said, yeah, it is all dagger except for the upper torso, so we'll get to that. The legs are all of this stuff is also the first time I'm using this flesh tone paint. It is Vallejo acrylic paint, medium flesh tone. Um, it looks good to me. I think it's a pretty good match for Michiko's skin tone. I do enjoy it. It looks actually a lot better on camera than it does in person, not gonna lie. But yeah, this is the first time I've used that flesh tone, and it worked out pretty dang good. So you got bare legs. The boots are sculpted on with epoxy sculpt. So again, just a regular leg and then just epoxy sculpted all of that detail on there and sanded it down so it's not too thick. We'll get to the metal parts in a bit because I want to talk about that. She does have a tattoo, which is kind of hiding right there. There you go. That's all hand painted on. I went with brown here because I think that's the way I saw it on the anime, but I could be wrong. It could be black. I actually just like it as brown, so it's fine. Fine with me. So the upper torso is the only thing, well, I guess the arms as well. The upper torso is swapped out from Dagger because, you know, if you watch my last video on Dagger, there's reasons why. But I did make a custom Dagger if you didn't know, so go check that out. Well, I swapped the Dagger torso out for a lady, a Shikla figure, just for the chest, at least a starting point for the chest. There we go. We can get that out the way. A starting point for the chest, and then I enhanced her from there because Michiko is bigger than Shikla is. This metal, this is supposed to be like a piece of metal for her top, her top. So that's just glued on there. It's epoxy sculpt that I shaped into this U. I sanded it a little bit and glued it right in between, and then it's just painted on. There's no sculpt going across her chest at all. I mean, it is, but you know, like that. Getting back to it, the arms and stuff, the arms in the jacket are from a retro carded Dazzler, so it's just your basic rolled up sleeves like Rogue or whatever. Dazzler jacket and arms with and hands and stuff, and just some C grips hands. The jewelry, you know, again Shikla on this gold band here, but then I added a smaller metal ring also on her arm, and again I'll get back to that in a second. What else is going on here? Oh, back to the jacket. So one other thing with the jacket is this belt, right? So the belt here is the same belt that's on the other Michiko, the cosplay version. So that comes from specifically the Gwen Stacy Mary Jane figure. You know, the combo figure with the Gwen Stacy jacket. It has this belt. So I, at some point in the past, I don't even know, I had to have used that Gwen Stacy jacket on some character and ripped the belt off of it. I don't remember who. I have to look at all my customs and try to figure out who I gave that jacket to. I honestly don't know, but I had the belt still, so I glued that belt onto the old retro carded, roll up sleeves jacket, Rogue jacket, whatever. So that's where that comes from. The other Michiko, the cosplay one, is using the actual jacket from Gwen Stacy with the belt, so I didn't have to glue it onto that. So while we're back here, we can go a little bit lower. So her shorts are actually painted on. They're not sculpted on. So these are just painted on shorts. Then this is her back zippers for her back pockets. So it's a little bit of sculpt going on there, painted gold, and then these are the zippers that I cut out of some resin and just like took the Dremel, the smallest little Dremel hole, Dremel bit that I had, and Dremel the hole into the resin and cut it to shape right here to make it those shapes there, glued it on for the zippers. Again, we'll come back to the metal pieces in a minute. I want to go back to her face. So to wrap this up, Michiko's face is a Maria Hill face from that Shield figure, the Shield Lady figure, the Maria Hill / Quake. So here is that Maria Hill. This is the same face here. I thought this was a perfect match for Michiko, just given Michiko's face and her anger and all that stuff. One funny thing here and thing to note that one, this is a resin copy of this head, and this is the resin or the original head right here without all of the hair, and you can see that it is not perfect. It is looking, you know, there's divots there, and then here is where the microphone would be on her face. So I had to fill all of that stuff in with, like, after I made the copy. So all of my copies, like every time I make a head with using resin, making this head, I should say, is gonna have those holes in her head. It'll have these in the back, it'll have these on the side, and I have to fill that in and smooth it out so that way you can't see at all where that microphone was, or the other hole on the other side of her face. So I'm very proud of how that came out. You can't see pretty much at all where that microphone used to be. So I'm very proud of that. Now the hair on this one, and as well as on the cosplay figure, is sculpted by me 100% with Procreate putty. I did not do a very good job on the hair, I must say. There's a lot of things that I learned. So I actually made 3 figures, not just 2. I made one Michiko for you know, this one, and then I made a cosplay one for Sarah, and I made a cosplay one for myself to keep. So when I was doing the hair for all 3, I started with the one that I'm keeping for myself, and I will quickly show that one right here. This is the one that I started with, just to be an experiment. Like if I screwed up the hair, I wouldn't care as much. And this is like, okay, this I did wrong, I did this thing wrong, let me try something different the next time. And then this was the second one that I tried, and then the last one was Sarah's that I tried. So each of them are a little bit different. They did get progressively better as time got, you know, as I kept working on them, but they still aren't exactly the hair of Michiko or anything that's particularly good in my opinion, but I tried my best. But one thing I did do best is paint these faces. One of the things that I've done terribly over the last few years is paint eyes. These, you know, every head in this video that I've painted, which you will see quite a few of those, these are the best faces I've ever painted, and particularly the eyes. They came out so good. They're not that perfect, but given how frequently I screw up the eyes, these eyes came out really, really good, and you'll see even better eyes on other figures in this video. Now, last thing, we'll talk about the metal, and then we can talk about the Sarah version, because there are some differences, but obviously there's some similarities. All of these things I bought let's talk about this. This is a cassette tape, by the way. So I made this out of resin, and then just cut it into a rectangle, drill some holes, bigger holes in the bottom and smaller holes up here, so that the small holes can fit these jump rings, which is what I'm trying to get at here, and all these different pieces of jewelry, things like this. All of these things I got from Michaels. So you can see here, I got, these are, you know, curb, this is curb chain right there. But anyway, these are all at Michaels. Things like this that I'm using for all of these figures. You see I have gold earrings on there. Here are the rings. These are just jump rings. All of this stuff at Michaels, a little small bag like that, costs about $4 or so, give or take. The earrings are glued to her ear, and I glued them before I sculpted the hair and before I painted everything. So it's all on there. It holds on decently, but because things like the jacket kind of get in the way, you have to be a little careful about how you glue them and how you manipulate the head going forward and stuff like that. But those are glued onto her ear. The necklace is just the necklace as is. They do open up, so it has some needle nose pliers as well as a very small screwdriver, so you can open them up and then close them back. So that's how I can get this to fit onto here. So this is just the necklace, and then there's two jump rings here. They're very small that go through the very small holes on the cassette, and that allows for this to be a necklace. These pieces here on her shorts, so there are two very small pieces of plastic there that are acting like belt loops right here, and I glued those on there and left enough space for me to take some of that gold chain, open it up, loop it through, and then close it back. And same thing on the back side. So it didn't come out perfectly. This one could have been a little bit longer, like just one more loop longer. And some of these belt loops that I sculpted or glued on there, I could have made them a little bit looser. So, and this was very difficult to put together because of that. But other than that, that is it for Michiko. I did consider painting the actual gold bangle there, so that it looked painted, but like, I don't want to mess around with paint rub and stuff like that, just in case. The jacket has a gloss finish. Everything else has a matte finish except for the boots. Again, the boots have a satin finish, so satin, matte, and gloss on the jacket and gloss on all of these gold pieces. She has gloss lipstick, and her hair is satin. The shorts are matte, and you can see they are cut very short here because she has very, very tiny shorts, and you see a little bit of cheek there. It was kind of hard to work all of that out given Marvel Legends and their articulation and where they have cuts, but it worked out decently. So I'm very happy with my Michiko Malandro figure. Alright, so now let's talk about the Sara Moni variant. So again, this is a actual human being that I have made into a through magic. I've made into a piece of plastic with acrylic paint. Most of this is very similar to the actual Michiko figure that I made there. Obviously, as cosplayers, try to be as accurate as possible, but some things are a little bit different. So we'll start at the bottom. So one, she's on a figure stand because Hasbro and heels are not great, but Sara is wearing heels, like heeled boots in her cosplay, so I gave her heels with boots. So again, I made two of these. You can see these are very similar. The boots are a little bit painted on the bottom just because of how they were originally black. I did paint the bottoms just because all the sanding and all of the priming and painting got a little messy, so I had to paint the bottoms black. But for the most part, so the color of the boots, again, it's a satin finish on the boots just like on the other Michiko. The color of the boots is acrylic paint of Vallejo light brown. And that's only being pointed out because her skin tone is light brown and light flesh tone, and I did about a 3-to-1 more light brown than light flesh tone. So I wanted to make sure that her skin was lighter than the boots, just kind of like in real life, using reference pictures, and I tried to nail that color, and I think this is a good color for her boots as well as her flesh tone. So in the future, I'll try to continue to be consistent with her flesh tone. That being said, there's a little bit of sculpt on the boots here, and you can see a little bit of the detail on the inside. I tried to get her zipper on the boots there, and then you got her gold little, I don't know what you want to call those, pieces on the boots there, and then there's another gold piece here. It's the same on the other side, and try to do more of that zipper here, and so on. On my figure, again, this is the one I'm going to give Sara. On my figure, I did the same thing. Unfortunately, you can see a little bit of the break right there on the heel. And that happened when I was putting the foot on, like heating it up and assembling the figure. It just broke when I was trying to push it in there. So we'll see if I actually fix that, because that that's an issue. I get lazy sometimes. So, going back to the figure, again, her costume is more or less the same, with some small touches here and there and some realistic things that are different. One, her shorts are a little bit longer, just a smidge longer. You can tell on the other one I had them like rise up to here, and here they're right at the thigh cut, but still having this cut on the shorts as there. And then they were made from like an actual pair of real life shorts as opposed to Michiko's fantasy anime shorts. So they have put this little bit of sculpt here for like the middle of that, and then I put these buttons here. So these buttons, like both on here as well as on the actual Michiko figure, I forgot to kind of mention that. These buttons that are on the jacket and also on Sarah's jacket and stuff, these are right here. These right here, the pins from pinned figures, the big part of that. So I just took some pliers and held one end of the pins, and then took some scissors and just cut off the heads of all of these pins, and that's what you see here and here and here and so on all of these jackets and stuff, and then I just glued them on. As far as this goes, this button here for her shorts, as well as the buttons going on the back of her shorts right here, those are the other side of the pins. So the big part is of the pins on the legs. You see, the big part that's on the jacket, and then the small part, like right here, that's what these pins are, or these little buttons on her shorts are. So I just cut those all off and sanded them so they'd be flat enough, and then glued them onto the figure. And then much the same as the metal on the other Michiko. Touching the mic here. Much is the same as far as the metal and the cassette and the necklace and all that stuff. All of that stuff is the same technique, other than here on her wrists, I took more of those jump rings, the same size that I use for the earring. Yeah, here we go. Same size that I use for the earring. Again, I tell you, they open up if you have pliers or a screwdriver or whatever, because normally they're not big enough to fit around the wrist, but I opened them up and then closed them back around her wrist. So now she has 4 wrists, just pieces of jewelry, because it would be a little too difficult to like her actual piece of jewelry to try to make that, and also to paint it without it being all sloppy and stuff. So I figure this looks good and is acceptable. Back to her build though, I didn't detail that. Oh wow, this is coming off here. Check, quick fix. There we go. So back to her build. Her build is not the same as Michiko. Like I said, Michiko used the actual whole figure. This is more back to the modular style. So we have a Kate Bishop style torso. This is actually from a dagger figure, just like Michiko. I didn't paint the inside white because it's already white, the pins there. But these are using Moira McTaggart's legs, or whatever, Jean Grey, whatever, these more modular thighs, and then some more Kate Bishop style lower legs, and then the shoes, the heels themselves came from a Shikla figure. The jacket arms and the arms themselves come from another Retro Dazzler, and then the jacket itself again comes from the Gwen Stacy Mary Jane jacket. So this is actually that jacket, and not needing to take the belt off. I just cut the jacket short right where the belt starts. I cut that jacket right there, and then I put these jump rings on the back because that's kind of some details that Sarah's jacket has. It has some rings going along the belt there. I tried to have because there are actually holes that go through her belt, and then the rings are around the holes. I tried to Dremel holes through the actual plastic of the belt first, and then glue the ring on there first, and then paint in there. It just is a little messy. I don't like it. It didn't come out very good, but I tried my best for accuracy's sake. The LBDD on her stomach is painted black this time, because that is the way Sarah's figures are, or no figures, her pictures are on her costume. And then I need to pull this down. There you go, that's better. So there's that. I got the same sort of deal with the chest. This epoxy sculpt is just sculpted and then glued on, but the upper torso itself is different. So it is a Walgreens Emma Frost upper torso, which conveniently, coincidentally, one, it's part of the type of build that I want to give Sarah going forward. Top, upper torsos that are a little shorter and chest size and all of that stuff. It's coincidental, but also that Emma Frost has the sculpt already on there that is pretty much exactly like Michiko's top, like Sarah's top for Michiko. It's already there, so I didn't even have to sculpt it. It's naturally like that. So that worked out really well. However, on Michiko, or excuse me, on Emma Frost, that Emma Frost torso has a collar, a choker on it, and that choker leaves a hole, because you can actually remove the choker, and leaves a divot and a hole on the front and the back of the neck. So I had to fill all of that in and sand it to make it look as if there was never a choker there, as if there was never any holes there on the neck. Can you tell that there was a hole there in the neck before? I hope not, because I worked really hard to make sure that you can't. It looks pretty natural. So again, same deal, earrings glued on. Her head is a which one is it? The other Mary Jane, the original Black Widow Mary Jane head. That's what I use for Sarah. I think it looks very much like her, so that's what I use for Sarah. And again, hair is a little bit of a mess, but it is sculpted by me. I wish it was better, but I am working on that skill frequently. So hopefully the next time I use Procreate Putty, it'll be much better than this. Again, the face, very nice. Some of the best faces I've painted, and just is this is the other one. This is the one that I kept for myself. I think this face actually is painted better, but the hair looks worse. But yeah, that's that. Now we can do a little wrap up here. And as far as that wrap up goes, it is, like I said, bonus content for anyone that's still interested in my ceremony stuff. So, like I said, this is not the first figure that I've made of Sarah. I made a Jessica Cruz Green Lantern several years ago. And just like today, just like now, I made two versions, or two of them. One for myself, one for Sarah. The one for Sarah, she has, and she sent it off. She enjoys that figure. The one that I have, I actually never finished because I was close to the finish line basically, and I was gluing the hair onto the head, and the hair just never adhered to that head for whatever reason. It just would not work after multiple attempts. So I said, oh, I'll fix this later one day. And here we are 3 years later, and I never did that. So I ended up just, while before I finished Michiko, I just remade this Green Lantern completely. Like this is not even the same build as the previous version of this Green Lantern. It's a completely different build, because this is more or less how I want to build my ceremony figures going forward. Like I said, Moira legs, Kate Bishop lower legs, Moira thighs, Kate Bishop torso with a shorter, in this case this is a blink upper torso, and then regular arms and head and hair and so on. That is my ceremony build going forward. But like I said, this is completely different from the previous build, and my skills have progressed and my painting techniques have progressed since then. The boots are sculpted on and tried to match Sarah's boots as close as possible. It has a gloss finish because she has very glossy white boots with black on the bottom, right? And then her legs are just painted black. She's wearing just a bodysuit. All of that's black. The torso came from any figure that has a black torso already, so I didn't have to worry about painting the inside, and so on. And I'm using a different paint than I used back then, so this paint's a lot darker green, so it just worked out fine. And yeah, it is what it is. I had to fit. It's using the same hair. I had to recast a new head for Sarah, so it's repainted head, or recasted head with new paint, and then using the same songbird hair, I believe. And I just had to fill in a little bit of this hole, which is probably why I couldn't glue it on there in the first place, so from like several years ago. Repainted her face, and yeah, her face looks really good. Like, looks really good. But that is that figure. And lastly, we have one more. So recently, I guess it was about a year ago, Sarah cosplayed as Clea. And I should have did this before, so you didn't have to hear all that plastic. She cosplayed as Clea, and she actually went to the premiere of Multiverse of Madness, the Doctor Strange movie, before even anyone knew that Clea was in the movie, and she even took pictures of herself in her cosplay as Clea with Benedict Cumberbatch on the red carpet, and it was live streamed, and I watched it, and I took screenshots. Anyway, but here's the very recently released Clea figure. This is the figure. So I was thinking I'll just make Sarah as Clea, but why do that when I have a perfectly good Clea already? So now here's the magic. And boom, now we have a Sara Moni as Clea. There you go. There's Sarah's face now. So everything's the same. Obviously, it's just a head swap. I just created an extra head to be Sarah's version of Clea. Same face that I used before, the Black Widow Mary Jane head. In this case, the hair is from a Kamala Khan figure, the Miss Marvel. It doesn't matter which version, it's because I had to paint it anyway. The only thing I had to do is it has bangs that cut in front of the face, so I cut those off and then used some sculpt you can kind of see going upward. So it just sculpted that going backwards, and that's it. And nothing else has changed. This is just Kamala's hair fitted onto this head and painted white. And then I do have, hopefully you can see some of that detail, come on, focus for me. She has like very glittery, shimmery eyeshadow on her Clea. So I took purple paint and then mixed it with silver paint, because silver has a shimmery metallic thing, and it also is not white, but it will act to lighten the color of whatever color it's mixed in. So it is kind of a lighter purple-ish color, and it has a little bit of a shimmer to it. At least it did when I painted it on there. It might have been dulled out from the matte finish, but either way, I did try. And yeah, I think this is like a magenta color lipstick with gloss finish on that. And yeah, that's it for Sarah. So this is just a head swap. It's a lot easier than making a full custom, but she does have, like, Sarah's version is hers is very glossy. Her entire costume is very glossy, and then she has more pink instead of purple. And then she has, because this Clea has flats, Sarah's has like boots that have they're like a black boot, but then like the heel is transparent, and it's like really cool. But I could have done that, but this is a lot cheaper and a lot easier, so I just went with this. I think she'll be happy with this. So she has one of these, and so do I. Where's my other head? There it is. This is the head I'm keeping for myself. So I have to get another Clea, and then I'll have one as well. So I already have that head ready to go. But that's it. Thanks for joining me. I do plan on doing more things of Sara Moni's cosplay gallery, I guess, her history and stuff. I do plan on doing more things of hers in the future, but it'll be a little while. I am, again, about to take a break from making customs. This is not going to work out right now. I'm going to take a break from making customs anyway, pretty soon, relatively soon. Yeah, that's better. Look at that one. I'm gonna be taking the break pretty soon, so it'll be a little bit before I get back to making more stuff of Sarah. And I definitely not planning on doing everything of Sarah's, but I am a big fan of hers, and that's one of the big reasons why I'm doing this stuff. But yeah, and that's a wrap also on Michiko. As far as other anime figures, it's funny. There are official merchandise of Michiko Malandro, but I really late to becoming a fan to the show, and that was a long time ago. So there's really nothing right now. I think that stuff is over with. So I actually don't have many other figures of anime characters remaining. I think this is the only one actually that's a custom, because all of the other ones I've made prior I have foddered out and put back into the scrap heap, because I bought replacement statues that look a lot better than what I made. But the Michiko is probably going to stay around for a while, because I don't think there are going to be any new professionally made merchandise for Michiko. So she'll be the only one probably for a few months, until I get back to Full Metal Alchemist and Dragon Ball and stuff like that in the future. But that's about it. I do have, I did say in my community post, if you're following the channel, you saw my community post. I made X23 already, and that video should have went up a couple weeks ago, but I decided to cancel it last minute because of how poorly the eyes look on it when I painted it. Everything else on that figure looks good. The figures look good, but the eyes. So I'm going to fix that literally tomorrow, after I post this video, and I'm going to try to repaint her eyes and then reshoot that video with the improved face. And then you'll see that video go up, probably not anytime soon, because I'm going to work on my next customs after that, and then I'll shoot everything together. So hopefully by the end of the month you'll see several videos hit. I'm really going to try to blitz and get as much done as I can, because there's about 5 figures I want to do, and I have 3 weeks to do them. I don't know if that's going to work, but we'll see, because I want everything done by the end of the year. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Like I said, you'll see X23, and the other thing will be posted in the community tab for previews very soon. So I'll see you guys later.